All right, y'all. So, on a recent Joe Rogan podcast episode, this sex neuroscientist talks on the scary future of sex robots. And I found this very interesting because I've been following along with this, and there seems to be more and more evidence showing that people are starting to find companionship in AI, sex robots, dolls, and all these kinds of things. And I find this very, very interesting here. It's pretty prevalent. In fact, in Japan, it's a big deal. There's actually men out there that are like having relationships with full on sex dolls, and they do photo shoots with them. They take them with them out. Like it's a whole thing. So let's take a look at this video and see what is in store for our future.
And she also...
Oops.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
I mean, the first time I heard of a sex robot was probably maybe 10 years ago, and it was this video, and a bunch of people, I was in graduate school, sent me this video because I knew I was studying sex. And it was, I don't know if either of you, Jamie, have seen this video, but it went viral, and it was this early version of a sex robot, but it was like the silicone face with a wig, and I'll say she was eating a banana, but she wasn't actually eating a banana. And it was basically like this head attached to a broomstick and had a sheet over it. And so you couldn't see the rest of the robot. You just saw the face of it. But then the manufacturer shows you it's just like a broomstick. So what
I'd be paranoid. Okay, here's my fear with a sex robot, okay? I'd be very fearful that in the act of doing something, in particular, if she was going to be eating my banana, I'd be very scared that it might malfunction and actually go from sucking the banana to biting down into the banana. I think that's probably one of my biggest reservations. I would need to wait for like model 5 or 6 in to know that like the technology's gotten good enough that it won't malfunction. Cause I'd be damned. I'd be damned. You know what I'm saying? This banana staying right here is not getting bitten off. Okay.
Thought was interesting is that even though it looks so hilariously bad, that there was obviously a market for it because so many people were interested in looking at this video, and also that people were buying this product. But now you fast forward, I think it was like 5 years ago, there was a huge, I would say, not moral panic, but there was a lot more discussion about it. They said the robots are coming. I don't think the technology was quite there yet. I wrote about it quite a bit at the time. And now they're saying in probably another year or two, it's going to be really coming in terms of the popularity that these robots are going to be incorporated into everyday life in some cases. Because when I think of social media, the internet, AI, like you said, is becoming so mainstream and so ubiquitous. What's going to happen when we have these robots that are now being integrated into human life? And what happens when the technology does get so good that they are more human-like.
You can't tell the difference.
Are able to meet people's emotional needs and maybe even physical needs. What's going to happen to us then?
Bro, if you don't think that there's actually a significant part of the population that wouldn't seek solace in companionship in a robot entity over a human, you're crazy. Because there's so many people that are disenfranchised. They'd be willing to go and just have a full-on relationship with a robot because the robot can't harm them, can't hurt them, both physically and mentally, like in all aspects, right? The robot won't cheat on them. So I'm willing to bet there'd be a lot of people that would venture into having a relationship with like a robot. When I mean like a sex robot, I mean like a full-on, visually, what do they call them? Cyborg maybe, because that's where they have like the metal frame, but then the outside layer is a well, I don't know, I don't think we'll live long enough to a point where cyborgs have like a real skin, like there's a biological thing around the metal exoskeleton, if that makes sense. But there'd be people that would certainly prefer and take a robot as a partner, which is crazy to me. Like iRobot. Yeah, something like that. Model 20 at least, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're going to stop breeding. I mean, maybe that's the AI's plan It's to not exterminate the human race, but to give them options so that they just completely stop reproducing.
Yeah.
Make the options far more attractive. And in a way, we've kind of done that, like with video games. Like how and video games and just being online. I mean, I'm sure you've seen the statistics of how many people are single today and how many men have gone like more than a year without any sex.
Yeah, I have
And
the stats here. It's like 30% of male millennials and 20% of women.
it's wild.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's crazy. And
I've been saying this for a while. We need to have more sex. I mean, truthfully, we need to have more sex. People are just not getting enough of it, and it's causing so much tension between the two genders. If more people had it and it was more consistent, people would be a lot happier. You know, you can't underestimate the benefits of what sex brings across the board. This is well-known research. Sex has an inherent benefit in our lives, you know, for what it does. And clearly large amounts of people aren't doing it enough and in enough frequency. And that's problematic. You know what I'm saying? I'm not necessarily suggesting just going out and just piping down any old body, or anything like that. But like, I don't know. Like, I think more people need to just have like a sexual partner or two, you know, do it safely, whatever, however you want to do it. But like, find somebody, you know what I mean? Find someone or whatever. And, you know, I don't know, maybe it gets to a point where people just need to have like sexual agreements. Be like, look, we're just going to be sexual partners only. And we'll every, you know, whatever day we get together and we do this is because, you know, I would hate to think you'd take away the passion from it at all, but it almost seems like we're getting to a point where you almost got to like schedule it out and just make it part of your weekly routine so that you get those benefits from it. You know what I mean?
What is taking the place of them going out and trying to find a mate? What is it? Well, it's the internet. It's video games. It's being constantly stimulated by this artificial realm that you exist in when you're playing Call of Duty. And it's, you know, interacting with people only online and not having to go out to have your just some sort of intellectual or some sort of a social discourse
Connection.
fulfilled in your life. But it's only through this weird surface way.
Do you think that AI video games, that not avoidance of in-person connection, but that fulfillment of connection through online means, do you think that's going to become a replacement for real life interaction eventually?
It will for a lot of people. Yeah. I think there's going to be people that reject it. There's going to be people that enjoy going outside, and it's going to be, you know, and it is now. It's a thing where, you know, people post on their social media, they're out hiking, you know, and they're giving people advice like, hey, you know, put your phone down, go out, experience the real world. But, you know, in a lot of cases, it's falling on deaf ears because it's not as fulfilling for people that are, you know, very uncomfortable with social situations now. And I think people, young people in particular, are more and more uncomfortable than ever before in those types of situations.
A lot of that is because they don't have the mentorship from older men, specifically with young men. A lot of them don't have that capability to go and interact with a woman in real life and just do a cold approach, which is crazy. The fact that some men are like too scared to do it or fumble it so bad. But a lot of it is I mean, this is the important part of having a male role figure in your life, a father and or an uncle or an older brother, or just an older experienced man to mentor you and teach you these things so that you can navigate and go out there and cold approach a woman, you know, at this place. Hey, excuse me, you know, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but I couldn't help, you know, you know, being able to converse and not be weird about it. Most women right now will say that men are fucking weird. When they approach them, the things that they say, they're like, dude, you seem fucking weird, you know, and it's because they don't have the social ineptness to interact properly without coming off as fucking weird. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, again, what he's talking about here, 100% agree. I see it. I get guys DM me about like, you know, asking for advice on this. I'm like, well, look, I'm not like, I don't be over here like I'm some love coach type shit, but like I've lived and I've experienced and I've interacted with women all throughout my life, and I know how to engage and interact with a woman in a way that she will find me interesting, certain level of intrigue. And women like that. They like that little bit of mysteriousness about you, so that it makes them want to dive in deeper. Like, who are you? What are you about? Too many guys either dump too much up front and you're like, well, you left her with nothing to try and figure out. You just throw everything out there. You know what I'm saying? That's not the right move. Coming off and being very weird about stuff is a put off. They're like, yeah, no, you're a weirdo. I'm not going to give you no pussy. So there goes that. A lot of guys just don't know how to play the field. You know what I'm saying? And that's to their detriment. And that's probably why they resort back to just sitting at home playing video games all day. Listen, I'm a gamer. I play video games. I don't think video games are a problem if you are balanced with your life and you're able to still go out and do these things. But I think there's certainly a good portion of young men that because they're incapable of interacting with a woman in real life and doing all that, they just pour all their energy into like their gaming and live that online life, you know, and then eventually turn themselves into incels. You know what I'm saying? I'm on board. Figure it should be. Listen, if there's any 2 days that should be required for sex, Wednesdays. You can never go wrong with a Friday to kick off your weekend. Wednesdays, because it's hump day, it's the middle of the week. You know, it helps to get you through it helps to get you through the week. You know, Monday, Tuesdays are stressful. Every Monday and Tuesday back to work in the office is always gonna be stressful. Wednesday's a nice day to lit that one off, just bust that one off, and you're like, all right, Thursday and Friday. Then Friday to kick off the weekend and, you know, do it all. But I don't know, people are just not finding each other. Like people are having a hard time right now finding suitable partners. And I'm talking about not even on a relationship level. I'm talking about like just on finding a potential sexual partner. People are even struggling with that. It used to be before, it'd be pretty easy to find you a fuck buddy. You know, like before COVID, it was pretty easy. You vibe, we vibe. Hey, this is what I want. We want you would both state what you were looking for. I treat you with respect. You treat me with respect, and we have a good time together. We'll you know, do this, that, and we're gonna do our thing. And that's the extent of what it was. If you laid it out that way, right? Obviously, you want to be upfront, and it would be cool. Everyone's fulfilled. I think there's nothing wrong with those sexual friendships or sexual relations, as long as both people are being fulfilled. I don't think there's anything wrong with them. They serve a purpose. It doesn't mean that you have to be with everyone in like some grand relationship, but ever since COVID, even that's fallen apart. People are just not even having sex at a normal rate. And that's problematic for individuals and for society. It really is crazy. And here we are about this. I know we've kind of gone off on a little bit of a tangent, not tangent, but like, I'll say a rant, but I've gone on here talking about this here, but it's leading us into this very conversation of sex robots, which, I mean, I got sex toys. Some of y'all got me gag gifts through my Amazon wish list. We got like the half, I got the sex dolls, and I got the half sex doll over here and all that stuff. And like, listen, I've tried it and it, like, it's cool. It's something different, but it ain't nothing like the real thing. Okay. Ain't nothing like the real thing. COVID absolutely messed everything up. It messed up the vibe of everything. It made people start to hate each other to the point where like people don't even want to have sex with each other now. Like, it's really bad, man. You know, it's really bad. Women are more forward now too. Some men don't know what to do with that. It makes them awkward. I know exactly what you're talking about. I think some men, don't know how to handle that. And I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with a woman being forward and being clear on what she wants. I think a man, if he were to be presented that by a woman, I think that helps to just make that decision a lot easier, because if she already, most women don't have it in them to tell you what they want up front directly most times. So then you got to play the game of like, all right, well, how am I going to play this? What do I think she wants to do? Let me just ask her. But when you do have in those, I say those more rare instances where a woman will tell you like, hey, look, man, I'm vibing with you. I like you. I'm just want to have some fun. Oh, okay. Now you can move things along a lot quicker and then basically get through the bullshit, right? Because a lot of this stuff with dating, and a lot of it is bullshit. And I think that's what a lot of people are fed up with. Like Like, let's remove all the smoke and mirrors. If more people just said up front what they're looking for and what they want, it could make things a lot easier. You know what I'm saying? If you meet and you say, I'm actually looking to date with intent, and then you meet the other person, like, well, I'm honestly just looking to have some friends with benefits, have a good time, go out and hang out, but then like we doing our thing. That's all I really want. You can assess it right there and then decide to move along or do whatever you're gonna do, instead of playing the game for like months and months, and then you find out 3 months after like casually dating that you're on 2 different wavelengths. Well, you just wasted your time. You know what I mean? Wasted your time. That goes both ways. Being desocialized hurt us more than we think. Yes, being desocialized definitely did. Being online habitually definitely played a part in that. We do need more people to be outside doing things out and about, meeting people out and about, interacting with people out and about. You need to build up those social cues and the ability to interact with people in those environments. You know what I'm saying? That's why video games and AI became a thing. COVID is looking more like a conspiracy now than ever. It kind of looks like that in retrospect, right? Amanda said, yeah to what?
Because they don't have any experience in them anymore. And they're just, most of the time, they're not interacting with people. My real fear, my genuine fear, and I don't even know if it's a fear, my concern, let me say that, is that we're going to go extinct. Like, that we're going to be replaced by an artificial life form. And I think that is probably what we do. I think it probably exists elsewhere in the universe as well, that we find out that the confines of biological beings and the limitations of their ability to evolve physically, they're so slow to adapt. You know, to go from a single-celled organism to a professor at Harvard is a long fucking slodge through evolutionary history. It took a long time to get to this point. But to go from an Atari Pong computer to artificial general intelligence is only a few decades. It's very quick. And when that does happen, and when you see these robots, but now these robots are not this generation, but 5 generations later, or maybe AI figures out all the problems of these robots and makes Ex Machina. When you get like that, who's the woman, the really hot lady?
Alicia Vikander.
Yeah. Well, you get one of those.
That was an amazing movie.
Amazing movie.
So scary.
So scary. And I think that's coming. I mean, I think when that movie came out, that was like sort of like abstract, like, oh yeah, that's not really going to happen. But now
that's what I used to think. I thought, no, this is like, it's overblown, but I don't know now.
I don't know now either. I think it's happening. I think it's going to happen, and I think it's what the human race does. And I think that's why we have this insatiable thirst for technological innovation. It's like literally hardwired into us to build something better.
So, I mean, I would love to talk to more people who are in the industry working on this stuff, because I know many people, they're doing it secretly and hiding because there is so much stigma around doing anything with an application to sex or sexuality. So people I've talked to who work in technology, they will usually have one business that is, doing really well, that's forward facing, and then they'll usually use that same technology in the sexuality capacity, but that side of things they don't really advertise, and they don't really talk too much about it.
Why is that?
Unless it's with someone like me. They know they trust me, and they know that I'll talk to people off the record, even if they prefer that confidentiality. But I'm just curious to understand, what is it like working in that industry, and what direction is the technology going in? Because I consider myself to be pretty open-minded, and I just want to understand what's actually happening and what's going to be the result of that. Because you see people who were really upset a couple years ago saying, like, the robots are going to increase sexual violence, they're going to make people objectify women. And I do think that for people who already have those views about women, maybe they might be a little bit more not so nice, but I don't think the average person is going to be turned into this horrible monster because of this technology. But, now it's becoming so mainstream. I don't know. I'm always open to changing my mind as well. So I'm curious to hear what people think about it.
Well, don't you think that just like social media kind of stunts people's ability to communicate in real life, that sex robots will stunt people's ability to have a real, meaningful romantic relationship with someone?
I think if you've never been with someone, or if you are particularly selfish, probably.
Yeah.
Because I previously thought most people will prefer a real life person to a robot. And I
Yeah.
also thought the technology is so far off that like the early prototypes of these robots were not really that convincing, we'll say. So I didn't think that we'd get to a point where it would be comparable, but we are getting there.
What is the state of the art of sex robots in December of 2023? What is it? Can we see something? What does it look like?
I mean, they look like pretty good physically. They look, I mean, they're obviously not made of human flesh, but they look pretty similar to a human being. And you can customize it. You can change various parts, pretty much any part of the body. You can make it exactly what you want, which I understand why some people find that offensive, because they're saying a woman is not just an amalgamation of parts that you pick and choose as to your liking. I totally get that.
Yeah, but that's not a really.
But that's the point of a sex robot, right? It's to create something that's your perfect ideal. So how are you going to shame them on that? That's kind of absurd to me. It kind of makes sense that if you're going to make a sex robot, that I'm going to want to have it to whatever I'm into. You know, some guys like small little nipples, some guys like big areolas, some guys like fat ass, some girls, you know, maybe I want her to have a little bit of a bush, or like the strip, whatever, like, you know, full breasts or maybe more perky breasts. Like, isn't that the point of developing, like, you're having your sex doll? I don't want to just get sent one and it's just random. Like, it's not what I wanted. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? And not that I'm against anything, but like, for an example, if it came delivered and it was just like, black eyes, red hair, just all over the place. Like, what is this? Like, you know what I mean? Like, this ain't what I want. Like, it's customizable. That's the point of it. It's because they're not human. I don't understand the whole concept of like shaming you on your sound. Oh yeah, this got to be expensive. That's exactly why I paused it, because I can't help but wonder how much something like this would cost. Right now, in the early stages of a sex robot, this got to be $20,000 minimum. Gotta be, if not more. Just, yeah, right. It's like hitting the randomizer in on an RPG game, just a random character, and you're like, what is this random? You know, got a half bald side head, other half is a fro. This is weird.
Really a woman. I mean, that's like saying, you know, oh, a car is not an amalgamation of parts. You shouldn't be able to pick the wheels. Like, what?
But
Fucking car. Like, that's not a real woman.
Right.
That's a robot.
Thank you, Joe.
Like, at what point, unless it gets to a person, you know,
or if someone's comparing their partner to a robot or a doll, like that's not okay.
Right.
That's gross behavior.
Well, it's also what's going on with young kids. They're comparing themselves to people that are using filters and thinning their waist and widening their hips and doing all these things with apps that are not representative of most biological human beings.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, that's what Jonathan Haidt talked about, that it's causing all this self-harm and disdain. It's like this, it's a weird place we're in that's never been really traversed before. Human society, as far as we know, has never gone through anything like this before.
I was reading a statistic yesterday that 1 in 10 adolescents has considered suicide, which is that's terrifying. That's really, really sad.
Wow. What did it used to be?
I'm not sure. I'll find out.
So what's the company? What is one company that has the state-of-the-art sex robot, so we could look it up?
Yes,
Can
for
I reveal it
research
to you
purposes.
at a later date? Because
I want to see it.
I know you do, but there's one company that I was talking to, I knew quite well, but they've since gone under because of the stigma. They were being harassed. The family was being harassed. So they said, we're not making these anymore.
Oh, well, they're not around anymore, so let's talk about them.
What if I show you one without, we just don't say the name? I just
Okay.
put
Yeah,
this
let's
up
do that.
online, and you can tell if there's better
There
or
you
worse
go.
than these.
Okay. I think that's silly, but let's go.
Okay, yeah.
Wait a minute, this is a
company
robot?
I know of.
Ew, Jesus.
Yep.
I want to see
They
it.
have some sort of AI in it. It says that
Feel
change the
connected
voice.
with Sense.
No.
X mobile app. Oh, so this is a real doll. So they used to have those real dolls, and they used to just be silicone, right? They were just like
It's still the same thing.
it's still the same thing, but now it talks.
Yeah.
And how much does it do?
I don't.
Let's see a video.
I want to see this too, Joe.
Go
Show
full
it.
screen.
I'm not showing this on the air.
No. Okay, good.
No, because it's.
Yeah,
I
I
was
get
gonna
it.
say.
It's a little graphic.
Let's skip ahead a little bit.
Your desires.
Currently, they're stationary, but
So
I
they're
was-
stationary and they just talk.
It says there's some sort of articulation, but I mean,
well, their
it's not gonna,
mouth
like, get
is
up and walk or anything, yeah.
articulate. But
But I think they will
again,
be able to move on their own in the coming years.
right, because this used to be just a doll,
Yeah.
and now it moves around a little. The neck moves. Articulating neck, real doll can turn left, right, up and down. The body, the real doll, skillfully crafted, finest details. Although it's not equipped with animatronic parts yet, it can be positioned and moved into hundreds of positions. So the bodies can't move yet, but the heads can move.
Yo, here's the crazy part is once they add the animatronics, that's going to be so freaky. That's going to be so freaky when they can fully move around. It's going to be like at a scene of a horror movie when the thing gets possessed. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Probably the same as 6 of Space with Elon. Yeah. Hey, leave the wide hips alone, sir. Wait, what did I say? I like me some wide hips. You know what I'm saying? You grab them motherfuckers and like pull it back and doggy. I'm sorry.
But that's just a matter of time, right? It didn't used to be the bodies or the heads didn't used to move. They used to just be like, and now, it used to be a blow up doll.
Yeah, like that company has been doing quite a bit. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Weird. I mean,
you guys should get one for the studio.
Yeah, no.
Not for use. I meant just to like hang out.
Well, even hanging around, it would be fucking
What if
creepy.
it's gone one day? We're just gonna wonder who took it.
Yeah. What if it smells weird? Like, someone do something to this? How much do they cost?
A couple $1,000s. I think depends on how
grand.
advanced you want it to be.
$8,000.
$8
$8
grand.
Up to 600 to 8 grand. I'm seeing. It's a different
$600 to $8 grand?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, what's the upgrade? What do you get?
More articulation.
It lies
probably, and
more?
voices. And
You can get cheaper models, but they're not as high quality.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the state of the art, essentially.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Rogan.
600
Oh, okay.
is
My bad.
the
My bad.
full thing. It's just like a
Just the
fleshlight.
head?
No, it's just like a flashlight version.
Oh, okay.
Just the whole.
So at one point in time, we're probably going to be looking at someone that looks like that lady from Ex Machina. That is a sex robot and probably knows how to manipulate you and play games with you and excite you and taunt you and whoo. Yeah.
It's going to be great.
That's crazy. The way we are headed into and society. Oh man. I don't know, man. I couldn't do it. I would need the real thing. You just can't. It's just and it's sad that there's going to be young men out there that would prefer a robot over a human woman. And the greater implications about this is potentially an existential threat to humanity for our civilization. If we don't have babies, it ends. It all ends. And that's already a big problem in Japan. Japan has the mortality rate is higher than the birth rate. So they're dying off and they're not having enough babies to replace the society. It's going to collapse. The US is not far behind. We're already in that trend of having our mortality rate higher than our birth rate. So, I get that the individual right to choose whether or not you want to have a baby, sure. But if we look at it from a macro perspective, from a societal level, it's not good. It's not good that people are not wanting to have kids. And a lot of it has to do with the economy. I think we're going to get to a point. Remember this right here, because maybe 2, 3, 5, 10, 15 years from now, I don't know, whatever. It's going to be archived on my channel. But there's going to be a point where I think it gets potentially so bad with the cost to having a kid that we're going to actually have to have it subsidized by the government to have children. And that might be the only way for us as a society to begin to have children again, is that the government then subsidizes either childcare, which is probably going to be one of the biggest things. If they subsidize childcare, so you're not coming out of pocket $1,000 a month or a whole, mortgage a month to cover your kid for going to daycare full time or whatever it may be, that might help it. Might. I don't know. But this is the reality we're living in now, man. And the dystopian future of sex robots and all of this it's not too far away. It really isn't. So that's a wrap on that video. And we went through